at a time. But all right, Vanagon X, this is Ken Wilford here at Vanagon. We're just getting ready to start our live stream today. Hope you can join us. We got two guys here. We got Richard Davies and Chris Rees, right, from VW Heritage in the UK. And we're going to be talking to them about some things. If you guys are joining us today, please put some questions for these two guys. Okay, if you're not familiar with VW Heritage, you can just go on their website, vwheritage.com, and check out all their products they have. We actually sell a lot of their products here in the U.S., and they give us a discount on the product. So if you see a price on their site, we can pretty much match it and get it from them pretty quickly. So I've been sending a lot of people to your site to look at products and see if they're interested in them. I can get them. One of the big problems with ordering from Europe for a normal person, is that say they want to buy one little part. Like I've had a guy wanted a relay that we can't get here.
Shipping.
Yeah, so he'll buy this relay for a good price, and then the shipping will be $50. So it's kind of makes more sense to buy it from somebody like me, where I'll buy like $1,000 worth of stuff at a time, and then spreads out the shipping costs. I'm only paying like a couple of dollars of shipping, and then it's the same price that you would pay there. So it's like a win-win-win for everybody. All right, so if I can get this thing to work right, I got some questions here. I know some of you guys are probably interested in the Volkswagen scene in the UK. I mean, what is it like over there? You had to.
It rains a lot.
It rains a lot.
It rains a lot. Yeah, it's strong.
It's strong.
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, the water-cooled early sort of Golf 1, Golf 2 is popular. Golf 3 is picking up because they're getting cheaper and cheaper, so they're more accessible for people. Whereas the early ones are going up in value, similar with the buses. The split and the bay window are now so expensive that people are buying Vanagons because they're cheap.
Okay.
So I'd say it's strong. There's a couple of people at Heritage, young people that have got Beetles and things. So the air cooled as well as water cooled. It's all good, I'd say.
So now, when you get a vehicle over there, do people typically buy them as a project to fix up, or are they buying them like completely restored, or how are they?
I would say more projects.
Okay.
I would say projects, yes.
So they want to do the project to save money, or they're just doing it for fun, or both, or what?
Mixture. Some people, or both. Yeah,
both. That's one of the amazing things in the Beetle world worldwide. You get the fashion is cow look. Or something else, and a lot of bugs, for example, have been restored 5 times, and it's just a matter of changing whether you want the aluminum trim on the windows or you don't. And but one of the biggest differences in the UK, there are very few convertibles. Because of the weather.
Because it's not.
Very few Carman gears, very few things. They call it a Trekker over there, of course, a 181. Very few, because again, those vehicles rusted.
They rusted here too.
Again, not many Type 3s or 4s either, because whereas as opposed to the southern states in the US or California or something like that. So there are major. So we would keep a fraction of the Carman gear parts that a company on the West Coast might keep. But on the other hand, we're very strong on all the other stuff. And also we have 9 languages spoken in the office.
Okay, wow.
These people are from those countries, like 3 Germans, Polish, Spanish, Italian, French. They're from that country. They didn't learn it online or anything like that. They're talking. So we do a lot of wholesale business worldwide. Chris actually looks after the Australian market. He'll be there in a couple of weeks.
We actually have a viewer from Australia too that comes on usually. So maybe, I don't know if he's out there right now. We had another guy from Iceland last week.
Oh, wow.
There's a guy from Greece that comes on usually. But he's crazy. He'll probably watch this later because it's probably about 10 o'clock at night in Greece or something.
Even later.
Even later, yeah.
I would say even later.
But yeah, we calculated. Usually he watches us at midnight anyway, so I don't know. Maybe he'll be on. But yeah, I mean that's really interesting. I know I've emailed with Laurent. And so he's French.
He's Belgian.
Belgian. Okay, whoops.
He speaks Belgian, Dutch.
In case Laurent sees that, sorry.
Belgian, Dutch, and English.
Okay.
And the languages are similar, and French, as of course Belgium. We have 2 languages, but we do have all separate people from those countries. But,
I mean, that's a big help. And, you know, sometimes I see parts like Turkey, you know, is another place that I've actually gotten some stuff from that's pretty nice, like coolant hoses and
our
brake cables and stuff.
Our sliding windows for Bay Window and Vanagon are manufactured in Turkey by an OEM factory that, you know, like makes BMW or Mercedes stuff. And the stuff is just spot on.
Yeah, it's really nice. You don't really think of Turkey as an automobile part manufacturer place, but the stuff I've
got they have
nice.
close links to Germany because a lot of Turkish people speak German.
Okay.
And it's been kind of a thing for many years that Turkey, being a less wealthy country, may not be the case now, but 20 years ago, 3 and 4 and 5-year-old BMWs, Mercedes, and VWs all ended up in Turkey because they could afford those, but they couldn't afford a brand new one. So yeah, huge market. The used market is weird in Europe. Yeah.
All right, so that's interesting. Now, so do you know much about the Vanagon or the transporter community in the UK? Like, what kind of uses are they using the vans for over there?
The transporter, sort of the Eurovan later, there's a lot of people buying panel vans and converting them. We've got 3 or 4 guys at Heritage that have bought them, converted them into either day vans or full-on campers, rock and roll bed and all sorts of things there, because they're quite cheap. So it's quite an easy one to do. Vanagon market's slightly different. I don't know as much about that. But yeah, that's kind of, and I'd imagine it's probably similar to the Vanagon, same sort of thing as the Eurovan.
I mean, I've seen a few of the Brazil buses that they were bringing in, you know, to the UK, and they were basically fixing, like even making them nicer, you know, they were camperizing in them, I think.
Well, what's always happened is that people wonder why there are so few Westphalias in Britain. Because you got Westphalias all over Europe and Jokers, but in Britain they came in as a bay window bus with windows, or from Volkswagen, or a Vanagon with windows. Then the conversion was done traditionally by Devon or Holdsworth, 2 companies in the south of England. So we have to keep parts for those vehicles. So we don't keep as many for Westphalias. Of course we do, because we sell internationally, but still not as many. So again, if someone comes in and says, I've got a bus with windows or a conversion, well, did it come from Volkswagen, or Volkswagen was shipping to these companies? So, or is it an old construction van that you've put windows in? Because it takes a different seal and things like that. There are various, so it makes the actual conversions rather complicated. And then, of course, a lot of differences, like the sliding doors on the opposite side, for obvious reasons. Yeah.
Now, have you ever actually seen some of the Brazilian conversion buses? I mean, are they nice? Or I've never actually seen one in real life. I've seen pictures of them.
Well, as people tend to know, the quality of the Brazilian vehicles isn't what the German ones were. It's a cheap vehicle, and I'm not saying they're lousy, because they're not. But at the same time, the weight of the metal, and of course, I assume, I've not been to Brazil myself, but I assume that they certainly don't have salt on the roads. And yeah, it's humid in some areas, but maybe it's dry in others, because they're not rust-proofed in any way at all.
Okay.
So
yeah, that would be a problem.
If you bring them to the UK, you've got to fill it with wax oil or whatever, all the interior panels. You've got to do a lot of work to make it last, because otherwise it's going to have that problem I just mentioned about 181s and common gears.
Just kind of
At 3, 4, 5 years old, they were so rusty.
Yeah, same thing here on the East Coast. Unless you had a garage to put them in. I had a local person ask me about buying a 181 as a daily driver. And I'm like, why would you want to do such a thing?
Careful, I had a 181 as a daily driver for 5 years.
I hear what you're saying. This is a young kid.
You're talking 1980 to 85.
Yeah, this is an 18-year-old. He has no mechanical ability. And I'm like, it's not a good idea. When you put the windshield down, that motor is right in front of your face. The wiper motor.
Yeah, the wind.
Not a good idea.
If you drive it with the windshield down, the wind in your face is so intense because it's come up off the hood. I can tell you do it for a few minutes,
and then you're like, okay, never mind.
That's enough. But yeah, my wife and I, I did it, but I could fix it, and it was a lot of fun. It was actually a 182. It was a right-hand drive.
Okay.
But there again, we sell to Indonesia.
Okay.
And there are a lot of right-hand drive 181s down there.
Wow.
So they have them in places that you wouldn't think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, when we went to Mongolia, me and my wife several years ago, I saw Vanagons over there, and you're like, well, how did these even get here?
Yeah.
Somebody drove there, probably left, and they're left behind.
I was in Croatia this year, and there were a lot of Vanagon double cabs that were still beat up as construction vehicles. I mean, they'd need restoring if you brought them over. But yeah, there's still quite a lot being used.
One of my guys I talked to on Facebook, he is in Africa. I'm trying to remember what country, and there was lots of synchros down there, even double cab synchros and regular synchros. And the big problem is they get down there and then they get stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like they get broken down or whatever. And to fix them and get them out of there is so expensive that they just get abandoned. So, he talked about possibly buying some of them and fixing them and having some kind of business together. And the only market for it would be taken all the way up to the UK, pretty much. That's what you saw. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not.
But these were South African or European models?
They were European models, for the
most
part.
Yeah, because as you know, the Vanagon was made in South Africa.
That's what I would ask him. So and he would look into it. They had water boxers in them. They had, everything. I'm like, this is weird. How they even got down here.
A lot of differences there with the South African, just like the the South African bug remained king and linchpin, I believe, right up to the end because of the bad roads. It made sense, you see, rather than a ball joint. But yeah, even a modern-looking bug like 1975, you're king and links. And a 5-lug, the wide 5 to 05 15 wheels.
So really the old style.
Yeah, the old mixture. Like the Brazilian ones were always a mixture in that. It's just like people don't believe me when I say that, the Mexican bugs are swing axle, not IRS.
Really? Oh, wow.
And in Europe, bugs are swing axle unless it's a Super Beetle.
Okay.
Or a Sportomatic. Otherwise, they're
so
swing.
Never.
So you could actually buy a 76 Jeans Beetle, and it was swing axle, and it was a D series engine. 40 horsepower
to the motor, everything.
And I think the Germans don't like the French.
Well, I mean, you could even buy a Vanagon that had a 1600cc.
Oh yeah.
Bug engine
the
in it.
CJ engine or something. It's the biggest load of rubbish, the biggest mistake Volkswagen ever made.
Most optimistic van ever. I mean, here we had the diesel, the 82 diesel. I mean, that was the optimistic. But I can't imagine driving a bug engine in a Vanagon.
Oh, it was terrible. It was closest to a Type 3 engine with kind of Type 3 heat exchangers, and the only good thing was the fact that you could put stock 1600 cylinder head and pots and pistons on for a lot less money.
Sure.
And just bolt it back together. But at somewhere between 50 and 70,000, they dropped about every last one. They gave Volkswagen
because it's so underpowered for the vehicle. Yeah. I mean, that's what we had with the diesels here. I grew up with the diesel in the cars, and I had a Caddy and stuff like that, and they would last for 200,000 miles easy in a car.
Yeah.
And the Vanagon, 100,000 miles, it's completely worn out.
Yeah.
And it's blue head gaskets and everything. So you can't really compare the two. I mean, you have this big brick you're trying to push down the road versus something that even has a little bit of aerodynamics. Yeah. It makes a big difference. So now, did you guys get to go to Volksfest?
We do the Volks World show.
Volks World, okay.
I go over every year and spend a week at the head office.
Okay.
The week before or the week after, yeah. I go over to the Volks World show. It's always good. And Heritage do loads of shows.
Okay.
Over there. Yeah.
So now, the Volks World show, is that the one that was just a couple of weeks ago, like about a month ago?
No,
end of March.
End of March, okay.
Just before Easter, it's at Sandown Park, a horse race course just outside of London.
Okay.
So it's a really good place for the Europeans because they can fly into Heathrow and it's about 20 minutes away.
Okay.
Or they can come across the channel. So it draws a lot of, and of course it's Volks World magazines that show. Okay. The other recent big one would be the Spa show in Belgium.
Okay.
Spa at the racetrack. A couple of weeks before or after the Formula One race. That's a big one. And it's very popular because of the track.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I was just interested because I thought this one particular show, I thought it was called Volks World or something.
There was a Bristol Volksfest.
Volksfest, yeah.
It's over Bristol way. That was 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking about. Supposedly they're going to have a big turnout of Vanagon transporters and stuff like that. So I didn't know if you guys had a presence there or not at that
A
one.
few of the guys did go up to it, yeah. A few of the vans or Euro van guys went.
Okay.
We'd be going to a show every weekend if we weren't careful.
Well, that's what
England's
happens
got
to
them in every
me.
little area.
That's what happens to me. I mean, you can see out here, I actually have my own Volkswagen show going on all the time. So, and the sad part is when I'll have 5 to 7 vans here that we're working on, and I'll go to a Volkswagen show, and there won't be that many there. So I mean, I have more at my house than you have here at the show. So, all right, let me see here. Have you guys ever camped in a Volkswagen camper?
Oh, I've owned them and camped in them and done the family thing and done the making tea, not coffee, of course. You know, being British.
Of course.
Down by the ocean in North Wales. The most recent ones was a 2-litre air-cooled British conversion, which we sold to my cousins who tow their 3-wheeler Morgan all around, racing Morgan all around Europe with the old thing. And then when we came to the US, we had a 1990 Westie for about 5-6 years. Yeah, just sold it a couple of years ago because it was sat in the driveway. Kids are grown up, you know, usual thing. Wasn't getting enough use, and then built a stupid bug instead, which is a lot of fun. But you can't camp in it. Yeah.
No, well, they used to, I guess, back in the day, but
yeah, it has a 2.3-litre Type 4 engine, an 911 trans, Mendiola suspension, and Porsche 944 brakes, Boxster rims, and apart from the rims, it looks top.
So it's a sleeper. What's what you call a sleeper?
Total sleeper, yeah, and it is a handful to drive.
Sounds like. What about you, Chris? You ever camped
A couple
out?
of times. Grandparents have got a lake bay, but yeah, a couple of times, not me. Camping.
I've never camped in a bay. I've always camped in a Vanagon.
Yeah.
It's been a while though for me too, because I'm with them all the time. I'm doing stuff. You know, we had an '87 Westie when my kids were really young, and I even rigged it up so I could have 4 places for them to be strapped in.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, we had the same. We had the proper.
We had like a rear-facing seat, and then I had some extra seats and seat. I put an extra seat belt in the back seat, so instead of 2 people, it was 3 like car seats back there. But you're really kind of pushing it.
We used to have an awning, like a
4
tent
kids
on the side, because of course in England it always rained. Whenever you go camping, it's going to rain.
Sure.
So yeah, and the kids would sleep up top. And then with the Westie over here, I did shows like the Sacramento show, for example, and I'd have it full of parts.
Okay.
And I'd drive all the way out there, and then I'd sleep in the pop top. I'd climb over the parts.
Oh, the parts.
Yeah. There's a security system.
That's it. It keeps them safe.
Yeah. So they'll pull out the parts out in the morning. Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because I've been into this for almost 20 years, and then just in the last couple years, here in the U.S., that everybody's into the van life. Like hashtag van life is a big thing now, and like you're talking about, it's even probably in Europe where people are fixing up these, basically would be like a van for work.
Yeah.
And maybe just a panel one inside, and then they do all kinds of custom woodworking and all these different things. And the thing I like about the Vanagon Westfalia is it's already all done, so you just get in it and use it. And then if you like that lifestyle, you could buy a nicer like a Mercedes Sprinter or something like that. But I tell you what, I've had customers that have actually went to the Eurovan, they went to the Sprinters, and then they came back.
And they've come back again. Yeah.
And they've come back.
Yeah. And the thing is, there is space, especially if there's only 1 or 2 of you. I know people with Vanagons and buses that have little wood-burning stoves in them.
Sure.
And also, the best thing that our Vanagon had, the best upgrade for us, because we live in Colorado at 8,500 feet, we put in a Propex heater. Easy to install, and it made it a different vehicle. Yeah. Waking up in the morning and just reaching up by the cabinet and just turning the thermostat.
Yeah.
Oh, we and our
put
dogs
it right there by the bed. Yeah,
just right there by the bed. Yeah, yeah, that was even if it is made in England,
Yeah, well, can you hook me up with that? I've been getting them from somebody here in the U.S.,
actually,
but I don't need them.
You have to buy them in the U.S. because the UK ones are different. They run on UK propane, and it's a safety issue. Okay. We don't know that they'd be 100% compatible, so you have to buy
the U.S. spec ones.
The U.S. spec ones, and we don't. The UK guys only sell us the UK ones. So yeah.
All right, now I know you guys have helped me develop some new parts And you guys have a program for that to try to think about new parts that are ready to be developed and that kind of thing. I actually have a list of some parts that one of my viewers wants developed, so I'm going to give that to you guys. Basically, it's air-cooled stuff for the Vanagon and the bus and whatnot. But I mean, what is that process like? I know we've talked about it before, but I wanted the people to hear about it. You know, when you say you have a part that you want to have made, I mean, what's that process? It's slow. Okay.
So that's one thing. Even relatively simple things take 9 months to a year, but it's all a matter of demand. Like, we are the UK distributors for VW Classic Parts, who are in Wolfsburg, Germany. We have to persuade VW Classic Parts that we will order enough to make it worthwhile. Then they have to go and do a search and see if Volkswagen own the tooling. If Bosch own the tooling, Volkswagen can't tell Bosch to make it. It's only if Volkswagen own the tooling, then they have to do a search to see if the tooling still exists and hasn't been destroyed. Then they have to do a test run to see if it's it's rusted out, it's producing inferior parts. So it's a big thing. There are about 300 items that we own the tooling for at VW Heritage or manufacture, air-cooled and water-cooled, because we're about 40% water-cooled company, mostly Golf 1, Golf 2, and Eurovan. So it's all a matter of those things falling into place, and then VW Classic can say to us, well, we can make it, but the minimum order quantity, because manufacturers always have MOQs as they call them, and they say, okay, but the first order's got to be 10,000. Well, if it's 10,000 transmissions, well, obviously it's a lot of money. That's not going to happen. But on the other hand, there are parts of transmissions that we're even having manufactured in England. And there's a lot of things that we're having made in Turkey and Eastern Europe. Just because, apart from the quality control not being consistent, tending not to be consistent in Asia, and you know where I mean, there's also the fact the first order is perfect, but the second, the second and third are big problem.
Okay. So I always thought it was the opposite.
No, it's
the first one is good, and you get the first batch, and you say, right, this is perfect, and then the second batch, and gradually it gets the quality just becomes less and less.
So they kind of trick you a little bit into thinking this is going to be the quality level of the whole batch.
And then there's the shipping. It's expensive. Obviously, the UK is a very long way from China. It's not just across the Pacific. Not that isn't a long way, but at least it's all by boat. There's that. So between those, we've really switched as many items as we possibly can away from Asia. Yeah, and we're finding that because of that and the European community, which is on-off and all the rest of it, but it's just as economic to get a better part out of these former Soviet countries, but mostly Eastern Europe. You're not talking Mongolia here. You're talking Poland, the Czech Republic, Romania, Bulgaria, places like that. Poland's got a big history of automotive engineering in them.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, has been changing, like you're saying, over the years, where to get the stuff. I mean, I have had some pretty good luck with a guy in Malaysia, but again, he's riding herd over these manufacturers. Like he's in that area, he knows, the places that will try to rip you off, and places that don't. So, and I think he gets the stuff at his place, and then he inspects them, and then he sends them on. So, it makes a big difference versus sending it all the way to the UK and then inspecting it and finding out it has major problems. So now, is there any parts in development right now that we should be excited about for the Vanagon?
Well, you know about the headlights.
The headlights, the headlight protectors. And
the headlights. We are developing the square headlights because they're so expensive from a junkyard if you can get a hold of them at all. And of course, hence the headlight protectors. They break easily, and you pay a couple of $100 in a junkyard for one. And we've had the prototypes, but unfortunately, the mounting brackets were totally wrong. They just messed up on them. So they're on the second run, and we hope it'll be better than the first. But for example, the rear sliding windows for the Vanagon, for the fixed ones in the back, they sent the prototypes to me in Colorado. I took them up to one of my customers, I'll tell you, Rocky Mountain Westy. Mike there installed them in 20 minutes aside, and they take the original seal. And they were the prototypes. They're absolutely perfect. So all I had to do is go, they're perfect.
Boom. Yeah.
Boom.
Make more.
Make more. Order however many sets you. I think they ordered 200 pairs initially as an initial run, and we sold them very quickly. So those are a nice part and a nice upgrade that Volkswagen didn't offer.
They offered them in South Africa, oddly.
Yeah.
Not any other place. Though.
And the bay window bus ones, we used to buy genuine VW Brazil, but then that dried up. So we had bought the tooling and had copies made in Turkey. And again, they're spot on. And the Vanagon one actually also has the latch that looks like the standard window. It's not the same latch, but it looks identical. But it's in the same place, so you're used to it. The other thing that's in the way for them, for obvious reasons, is more for this part of the world and the rest of the world, not England, fly screens.
Okay.
For the inside, so that because of the bugs.
Okay.
And also on the sliding door, we put a warning on the sliding door side of the vehicle, which is obviously opposite here to the UK and Australia now. There is a small chance that a youngster, for example, could put their arm out when you open the door.
Sure.
Now, it's a small thing, but if you had a fly screen there,
then they couldn't. That's a good idea.
So
that's what I always worried about when I saw the South African ones.
Yeah.
And in South Africa, it's you don't know if they actually thought that far ahead or not. But
yeah.
So having a flash screen would be prevent that.
Obviously, it's not going to happen opposite side to the sliding door. 3 windows is better than 2.
Sure.
But nevertheless.
Ventilation.
But yeah, so we do have on our website, be aware of this. So.
Yeah, I mean, here in the U.S., there's a lot of liability things too. I think the laws are a little different, what you can sue for and that kind of thing. So you have to be a little bit more. All right, pass me that envelope right there, Leah. All right, I'm gonna give you guys expert opinion here on some parts that we got recently. So when you take a look at this part here, I got this from a supplier here in the U.S. It was supposed to be those sliders that you were talking about for the sliding windows. And if you hold them away from you by about 20 feet, it looks like that.
Yes, but those are not correct because the Volkswagen original one is all individual pieces.
Wait, are those crappy ones?
You could put it that way, yeah.
These ones we got are the most terrible things I've ever dealt with, ever.
This is a very aftermarket part that has come out of China.
Oh, you think it is China?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just not right. It's as simple as that. It'll look right from the outside. Yeah.
I mean, they're so bad.
From VW, this is about 5 different pieces, and then you've got the rubber gasket as well, and that. So
rubber gaskets look terrible.
Even the rubber gaskets, it looks like somebody cut with scissors.
Look at this.
That is the worst.
You can see it in the camera, but that's the worst. They're not even a Phillips screw. I mean, look at where did they
regular screw.
So this is this actually, to be fair to China, it might be out of India.
I mean, it's basically how to not do reproduction parts.
It certainly is.
And I talked to the company about it. I'm like, listen, I want these to go back. And they're like, okay, we'll take them back. And I said, no, listen, you need to go on the shelf, pull this off the shelf, look at this. Because these were not cheap either. These were costing me probably around $30 each. Now, if they cost...
Sliders, we need to find out. Our version from Turkey, we need to find out if we can just get latches. I think we can.
Because the latches are expensive.
Yeah,
the latches are very expensive.
Yeah,
here I was selling
you can't get all the pieces from VW anymore. You can get 3, but not 5, and that's no use to you.
So I mean, I was selling used ones for $50 a piece, and I sold a lot of them that way.
Yeah.
And when I saw these at $30, I thought, well, this is a good deal because then I could sell new ones for $50, still make some money. But yeah, they're so horrible that they're not even.
Chintzy is the word you might use.
I would never sell them to a person. Yeah, they're that bad. So, I mean, but it's all part of when you buy stuff, then you have to see if it's worth, buying more or not.
We're lucky in that we have people in the company, because there's about 70 people working there totally, if you add my part-time work. Cut that bit. Anyway, we have people that own all the vehicles, so everything is tested on the vehicle.
Yeah. And that's what I like to do here.
Someone that actually drives that vehicle, and we have a couple of ladies that have Vanagons. until very recently, Chris had a Golf and all the rest of it. But we've got loads within the company, and bugs and gears and the like, and everything's tested.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like before I
not
sell
happy with
stuff,
it,
I
yeah.
like to test it.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, you just don't know. I mean, right now we're developing, like we actually started selling LED headlights.
Yeah.
I told you about that.
Yeah,
We've been
very
selling
popular
a
on the
lot
West.
of them.
Very popular on the West Coast.
Yeah, a lot of them. But we had to go through some suppliers to see, because some of them just looked nice.
Yeah.
And then if you, like one guy took his to the car wash. Oh my gosh. And when he sprayed it, all the water went inside of the light because they didn't seal it.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
Indians make a lot of headlights, so that's all I'm saying.
And-
Headlights Central is India
okay,
for all
okay,
cars.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, these were made in China.
Yeah.
And basically, the original ones we bought, they had basically super glue. They super glued them together, and the super glue was everywhere. Like it would be on the plugs, it would be here, be there. I'm like, why? Where is the super glue? You know. You know, so I had to learn. I found another company who they look identical, but they're actually made really nice. And so, you know, we had to kind of go through that iteration, and we went through some. Like I'm actually supplying LED bulbs for the 9004, you know, headlight encasures. I went to a few suppliers on them, and now I'm working on a cruise control system, like aftermarket for the Vanagon, which there's a nice one out there, but it doesn't have a long enough harness for the controls. You know, that's really.
I've heard that. Yeah.
So we have a guy that makes harnesses. He's making a harness for me that'll extend it out, and everything just plugs in.
Yeah.
So that'll help, you know.
Practical, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. And I mean, I love cruise control. It helps me a lot when I'm driving long distances and things. It can be really nice on a Vanagon.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Cruise control, yeah.
All right, so do we have any questions from people, or is anybody on there?
Nah, it was just like a couple of people.
Just saying hi.
Yeah, Minx was back. Steve Ritter was back. Billy said he was in a meeting, so he was going to watch this later.
Okay.
So that
A
was
lot of
pretty
people
much
watch these later.
Yeah.
Like we usually get, within a week, we'll get over 100 views. So, you know, you guys will definitely get some mileage out of it. You know, right now, we got about 7 people watching or something.
Yeah.
But I tell Steve, if you're watching still, I'm going to give them your list of stuff, and they can take it back to the UK and see what can be done. Okay, it's mostly smaller items, but it's really like stuff you would use to finish.
Smaller items makes it a lot easier. The other things people don't understand in the US, every vehicle in Europe, maybe the exception of Greece or Spain, has a test at the age of 3 years old. It has to be tested every year. It's got an MOT in England, and it's called the TUV or TUV in Germany. Okay. We are not allowed to just fit LED headlights. Okay, that's not the original thing on the map. But we're not allowed to, in the UK. You're not allowed to fit big bull bar bumpers and take that road. That becomes an off-road vehicle only. Okay. So there are a lot more restrictions. Then, of course, you're not allowed above 90 decibels of noise in Europe. So and then there's the fact that when the tester goes through the vehicle, the brakes, the headlights, the horn, everything must work. There are not allowed to be any holes. There's not allowed to be any serious rust or anything like that. And if the vehicle fails, you've already paid the equivalent of $60 for the test every year, every 12 months. You're allowed to take it home, fix it, or leave it at that shop to be fixed. It's kind of good in a way in that leaky shock absorbers and boots and safety critical stuff gets done. And of course the emissions are checked, obviously. You're talking Europe, obviously the emissions are checked and that kind of thing. But then in Germany they have a step further in that we have wheels, for example, on our website that are the usual BRMs, for example. We have a price of let's say $100 a wheel, for example. I don't know the prices. And then we have a wheel that looks just the same, and it's nearly $200. The $200 wheel is approved for sale in Germany. It's been tested. So 20 of those wheels, we, at our own cost, have taken them to Germany, had them tested by the authorities, lost them, they've been crushed or whatever they might do to them, we'll never get them back, and paid them a lot of money to test that, and then they're TUV approved. All that process costs a lot more money.
Sure.
And
it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time.
Maybe built slightly differently. They're stronger normally.
Yeah, so there are these regulations in the northern European countries especially that we don't come across. And again, things like Baja bugs on the road and rails on the road, and that does not happen in Europe. There's none of that. So, yeah, sometimes and so we can't just take out a headlight, hop in LEDs, because that's not what the vehicle had.
Okay.
And the testing guy is going to go, oh, that's a fail.
Mm-hmm.
Get that vehicle out of here. Yeah. So,
I mean, they used to do that a lot here. It kind of comes and goes.
yeah.
So, like, you know, here in New Jersey, we had a test every year. Then they extended to 2 years. Now they got to the point where they're like, all we're doing is plugging in the OBD2. If there's no codes, then you're fine. And they don't even do a safety test anymore. Which, to me, out of all the tests, the safety test was the most important one. Make sure the brakes work and that kind of stuff. And they've abandoned that.
Well, Colorado has nothing outside of Denver.
Okay.
We have emissions in the city of Denver, I think, and that's Colorado Springs, 500,000 people. There's no emissions testing. It's crazy, and we live outside, up in the mountains, and there's no way. I mean, I see vehicles missing a fender, missing a headlight. The cops don't even pull them over.
Yeah, I mean, it used to not be that way here, but it's starting to get that way, sadly. And you know, that's why it's important to test for safety things, definitely, and it keeps vehicles off the road. That, like, when I lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I lived there for a while.
Yeah.
I pulled up behind a car.
Yeah.
I pulled up behind a car. There was no trunk. It had been, you know, cut off with a torch. There was no back. It was a frame and a gas tank. And that was on the road, driving on the road.
Yeah.
I would drive farther. There would be a car with no front fenders, no hood, no headlights, no grill, just the motor and the frame driving down the road. I'm like, what? You know, but that was because there was no testing at all of any description.
Yeah. And
I guess the police weren't pulling people over for that. So, you know, it's kind of like you have to have a balance, you know. So, but, all right, so that's all the questions I got for these guys. I know I've been keeping them here for a while. You guys haven't been asking any questions, so if you have questions, put them in the comments. Okay, like, subscribe, and, you know.
don't make fun of the accent.
Definitely check out vwheritage.com. And if you see things on there that you like, let me know, and I will talk to Richard and Chris, and we'll get them on the way to you guys. Okay, so thanks for stopping by. I hope you guys get more smiles per gallon with your van, and have a great weekend. So yeah, go ahead and stop the thing here.